It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Columbia, this is Houston, AOS, over. Setting up the flag now. Now, you can see the stars and stripes.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Knicks Wall podcast. I am Anthony Corbo. You can give me a follow on Twitter at Corbo Anthony. Joining me this week, I have my good friend Mike Cortez. What's going on, my dude?
What is up, man?
Give him a follow at Cortezera on Twitter. Kyle Maggio is going to be out tonight, so it's just the two of us, but we're always here with our Blue Wire family. Check out everything they got going on over there at Blue Wire Pods on Twitter. Check out the knickswall.com. Check out TKW Podcast on Twitter, at the Knicks Wall on Twitter. Always a ton of good stuff going on there. We got some new features coming out recently, some stuff from quite a few of our writers, so definitely go check out all of that stuff. Anything interesting come out from you recently, Mike?
Yes, on last Friday I put out the Knicks fourth quarter troubles. Today, actually, I dropped something on Masai Ujiri, which we'll touch on a little bit. But should the Knicks pay what looks to be a high price, which right now is around 2 first-round picks, so I have that up. And then also check out Sam put something out on David Blatt. Brendan put something out, I believe, on RJ Barrett, and Eli has something good on Marcus Morris, and Harley also dropped something on Julius Randle. So ton of stuff to read.
Yeah, lots of stuff. Probably the easiest way, either head to the knickswall.com and just take a look through the homepage in the featured section, or just head to our Twitter feed at the Knicks Wall, as I mentioned, and everything is going to be coming up, right along there. But kind of a good way to get into the conversation here, Mike. The Knicks have hired David Blatt, formerly of the Cleveland Cavaliers, to be, and a bunch of success overseas as well, to be their new consultant. Kind of a new role for David Blatt, who announced that he is retiring from coaching. So there's been quite a little bit of speculation before we recorded this today over what that role is actually going to look like. Photo came out of him with Steve Mills and Scott Perry at Knicks practice today. But this really seemed to come out of the blue, and we really haven't gotten a ton of details about it from here. So I guess, Mike, do you have any idea of why the Knicks maybe made this move, or what position Blatt may be, or what responsibilities Blatt may have over the next couple of weeks?
All right, so for the responsibilities part, I was a little confused when this came, because this really did come from the clouds. But Ian Begley of SNY, he said basically Blatt's going to be dealing with scouting in the G League, so I'm assuming player development. I mean, I know he was very big on Luka, so that's a positive. Maybe the Knicks will start treating Euros more highly. I know there's a couple Euros in this year's draft class, and then
return of the Euro Knicks.
Yeah, bring it back. And I mean, the Knicks have had pretty decent success lately with European prospects, so I think this is just doubling down on it. And Blatt's a very close friend of Steve Mills. When they were doing the head coach search, Blatt's name was heavily mentioned. He played with Mills and Craig Robinson, the VP of player development. They all played together at Princeton, so they're buddies. And I think Blatt's a smart guy. I don't think Cleveland, like him getting fired in Cleveland, I think that was more of a product of LeBron wanting complete control.
I agree with that.
I don't think he was incompetent. So it's a smart mind. People freaking out about it, I don't really get it. The only part that would kind of temper me back is it's a Mills guy, so maybe Mills is getting more entrenched than we could have hoped. But all in all, I think it's just a solid one.
Yeah, well, that's kind of where I naturally start wondering from here. Is like, this is a Mills hire. Obviously, he's got the connections and the Princeton's connections and everything like that. Just a week ago, and it was an Ian Begley report as well, where he said that it's very likely, it's more likely than not that Steve Mills will be out as president of the Knicks, after the season concludes. And so that's why the timing of this whole thing just kind of strikes me as a little, just a little bit off. It's just you have this guy who comes in, you got this guy who's supposedly on his way out, and comes in and brings a close friend of his into the organization. At first, I mean, the speculation that went around seemed to be that Blatt is lined up to replace Mills or Perry in one of those roles. And I mean, the whole thing, and obviously we really only have that last Begley report that Mike just mentioned to go off of here. But it's, I don't know, it's just kind of fascinating. It's just a weird time for this hire. Some people were kind of speculating that maybe they wanted to get Blatt in there to lead them through the trade deadline, which, I don't really think that that's realistic, especially given that he's really just has a consultant role with the team right now, which could mean a whole number of things. But, it doesn't seem like he's going to have any real insight over roster, who's going to be on the roster. He's more going to be there for development. And then scouting and then reporting that back to the GM and the president, whoever those may be in time. But yeah, I'd be kind of curious to see if, what this means for Mills and Perry, whether this means that they're going to roll back this front office for a little bit longer. I'm curious to see what this might mean for, even David Blatt. It's kind of funny because the day that he gets hired is the day that we were all speculating as well over, will he be fired by the end of the season since he's a Mills hire? It's just, the amount of chaos that's going on in this team's front office right now is I would say unprecedented, but we have a lot of chaotic regimes to look back on at this point. It's just, the timing of this is all real funny. I don't know. There's really not too much more to make of it other than what's out there, but it's just kind of interesting, kind of strange.
My best guess, and this is just pure guess, Mills knows that he severely lacks basketball intelligence, so maybe he's bringing in a friend who is pretty smart. Like I said, he was high on Doncic. He was successful in Europe, and he was pretty successful. Albeit he was coaching LeBron James, but he was successful, so he's a smart basketball guy. Maybe he's just there to say, target this guy, target that guy. I don't like the way this guy plays. Get rid of him. That type of thing. And he's a consultant, so if he does get fired at the end of the year, or let go rather, it's not really consequential. Like it'll be different if he was hired as the GM to replace Perry. Then that's like true chaos. But having a smart guy there can't hurt, especially given the lack of brain power we currently have there.
Yeah, and Blatt's won, plenty. He's won the Euro League. He's won an Italian League championship. Like he's got a couple of different. Even in the obviously some the talent level is different and everything, but he won. He won the Israeli Cup 6 times. I don't know anything about that league or what the talent level looks like there, but this guy has been in positions of the top of whatever league he's playing in at that time. Like he's been to championships. He's won championships. He's awesome. He's definitely a guy who at the very least is insightful and has an idea of what it takes to build a winning team in different forms. So I think that you're probably right. I think it has a lot to do with Mills realizing that he doesn't quite have that that kind of basketball intuition. And I think maybe that when they brought Scott Perry in, they were kind of hoping that he would be able to instill a little bit more of that into Mills, I would guess. But at this point, I guess they just realized they need a little bit more firepower in that respect. So in any sense, I don't think that anyone can really look at this as a bad move. It's, like we're talking about, it's a guy with a good resume coming in, and this team, despite what they did against the Atlanta Hawks, this team needs as much help as it can get. So I'm in favor.
Yeah, and he's not like a radical thinker too, just to put a bow on this. He's not like some guy that's like Isaiah Thomas, where he came in and just like, all right, we're gonna go super big or we're gonna go super small. Like he's just like we said, smart and knows what he's doing. Yeah.
Well, let's because I mentioned that game against the Hawks last night. That was Wednesday. That was Tuesday night. It's always funny to try to get the nights right when we're trying to record this thing. But anyway, the Knicks beat the Hawks in one of their most electric victories of the season. They're now 7-21 on the year, so not a ton to choose from, but This one was a 143 to 120 win. Yeah, we saw some career high games from RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson. RJ went off for 27 points. Mitchell had 22 and 13 rebounds. We saw some like good performances out of like Julius Randle and Kevin Knox too. A lot of guys who really needed to get going, and obviously you can put up a lot of points when your team scores 143 points, but I mean, it just seems like this team is a little bit more energized. They're for sure playing faster. They're just playing kind of a different game. And I know the Hawks don't really have any rim protection or, and they're going to play at a pretty breakneck speed as well. But this just seemed like a game where the Knicks were able to find a way to gain control, and they really didn't let it down.
Yeah, and the most important takeaway I had from that game was Miller played everyone that was available to play. No DNP coach's decisions. And I think that was huge. No one played over 30 minutes. And Randall had a great game, like you mentioned, but he only played 23 minutes. And the reason for that was Mitch was playing so well as Knox. I think every young kid played well last night. And Miller noticed that, and he let them stay out there. I don't think Fizdale was doing that enough. And
no, I agree with that
way
entirely.
Too many. Like with Knox, like he just DMP'd him for no reason. It's like, what the hell's going on here? He started Trier out of nowhere. Then he put Trier in the doghouse. And Trier missed the game with a concussion, so that's why he didn't play. But like I said, everyone was allowed to play. And it just felt more like everyone just felt free. Versus where Fizdale was supposed to be like that. But I felt like he was kind of almost doing the opposite, where everyone's on eggshells unless you were a veteran.
Yeah, I think I would certainly say that last point about people seeming like they were walking on eggshells is pretty valid. It seemed like the team didn't have any idea of what direction Fizdale wanted to head in, and what he would do on a night-to-night basis. And when you have that going on, I mean, how are you supposed to build any kind of consistency or confidence in your play or your teammates' play? It seems like recently we've been seeing some chemistry develop between a couple of guys. I mean, like RJ Barrett and Julius Randle last night looked like good together. There were stretches there where they were throwing lobs to each other. They were just kind of like very aware of where each other was on the court. And then, you had a good looking connection between Elfrid Payton and Mitchell Robinson for a minute there. And I thought it was pretty, Neil Akina hit that three to start the game off, and then he didn't hit anything else throughout the rest of it. But you played him 18 minutes, you played Dennis Smith 13, you played Peyton 20. That's a good, like, when you have three guys who are not consistent enough for any one of them to really step out and establish himself as, the lead guard in that role. I mean, that's not a bad way to do it when you're going to do it by platoon like that. I mean, it seemed like with a little bit less minutes and, just a little bit more up and down play, it really seemed to unlock a lot of things for this team.
Yeah, and for the guard rotation, Elf and Frank, I believe they've separated themselves that they should play every night. Dennis is the one where you got to like see what kind of Dennis you're getting.
Yes.
But like Miller immediately, like he inserted him early in the game, saw he was vibing, kept him out there, and he ended up having a really good game. He had a nice block on Trae Young and also assisted to RJ Barrett. And Mitch is another one. I don't know if it's just a perfect storm of the players meeting Marcus Morris called, Mike Miller becoming the coach, but Mitch just looks smarter on the court, like he's not fouling as much. And last night he was setting good picks. He even got a sick breakaway steal to the breakaway dunk, and he almost had two of those.
Yeah, that was great.
That
was awesome.
Yeah, and he's on the court like 20. What did he play? 29 minutes. Mitch should always play in that 30 minute range. He's the best defensive player they have.
100%.
Just seeing him out there is just really good to see. And
yeah. And I don't even mind Gibson starting over him so much, because the way that Miller's handling that is like pretty much perfect. Like he plays Taj those 19 minutes to get him into the game. He played 19 compared to Mitchell Robinson's 29 the other day. Like he gets him in there early, make sure he's kind of that solidifying factor that makes sure the starting lineup is kind of grooving the way it needs to. And then once you have that coming in, you get Robinson in there, and like he's obviously cleaning up against second units as well. And it just, I think that what's been good about, even if Neil Akina's like not performing quite, he didn't have a great game last night. It was a little bit quiet. I like that Miller is trying to stick to a rotation now at this point. He's not overreacting to 1 game samples or 2 game samples or whatever. He's like, obviously he played everybody last night, which is awesome, but he knows who he's going to have out there in long, for long stretches. He knows who he wants to go to at certain times. It seems like he was able to pick up on that pretty quickly. When it seems like it took, I don't really even in both of Fizdale's years or his year plus, remember a time where he was able to have a rotation stick with it for a good period of time.
No, it felt like Fizdale was always doing constant trial and error. And at the first year, okay, because it was a clear tank job. But to start this year, it was kind of the same old shit where it was, you never know who was starting on a given night, what was going on. Starting Kevin Knox at shooting guard is just asinine. He started Trier opening night when he had Elfrid Payton there. And Elfrid Payton's another one. Since he's come back, he's just been a complete godsend to this team. He's just setting the table. He seems to have chemistry with everybody. He just knows how to control the game. And this is coming from somebody who hated him.
He looked good before his injury too. And him bringing it back, I've been more than impressed with Elfrid Payton. And I think that he's playing a really important role for this team right now.
Yeah, and he's just I think it's beyond Payton because Fizdale was still losing games when Payton was there.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of it can be attributed to just Miller's smarts as a coach. I think just kind of his experience being able to do that, calling timeouts at the right time. Making sure that teams don't go on leads against them, stopping the bleeding. I feel like Fizdale treated this team like a kind of a breeding ground for whatever these players are going to be in the future. And kind of was kind of trying to develop them as young players, which is fine. And that's an approach to try to do it with. I just don't think he had the right approach for it. He was kind of doing a bit of a tough love kind of thing, trying them out at different spots to see how they would react and everything like that. And obviously that's not going to amount to winning or consistency. And I think that's kind of counterintuitive to development. I like what Miller's doing right now, where he's just he just seems like he's legit trying to win every game. He's trying to stick with what works. And to me, that just seems like the best way to develop these players. Let them get the experience that they need winning games and being, at least competing on a high level, at least feeling like they have a chance to be in it and that they're going to be playing in the game. That to me, that just seems like the better way to get these guys on the same page and show some kind of progress here, rather than Fizdale's just kind of doghouse method. And I don't think that all the blame has to go directly onto Fizdale from the Knicks playing well over this past stretch. Because obviously, we're saying, there's a lot of factors that came together here. Elfrid Payton coming back, Marcus Morris coming back into the lineup for a little while. Obviously, they all got jolted by, I think, the changeover and whatever kind of new rotations that Miller's trying to run, whatever kind of new vibes he's trying to bring to the team, whatever kind of new pacing he's trying to bring in there. But I think there's a lot of factors that contribute to it. But Fizdale, really, when you take a look at it, is probably the most damning factor of the early beginning of the season.
Yeah, I think you hit on all the points, and the main point is that consistency where Fizdale just wasn't there. Miller has come in and he hasn't radically changed the rotation when he easily could have. He could have just said, Randle, you're done, put Mitch in. He's kept Randle, and he's slowly separated Randle and Mitch nicely, where Mitch will play a lot. I've never seen Mitch play more with Morris than with Miller right now. And he's starting to separate it where he's putting Mitch with Portis, and he's putting Morris out there. RJ Barrett's still remaining a focal point. So he's not going one way or the other. He's keeping what Fizdale kind of laid the ground with, which wasn't terrible, because even when Fizdale was there, they were still in games, but they would never come back. Like the Sacramento game.
Totally, yeah.
They come back under Fizdale maybe, but they don't win. They'll find some way to screw it up. But here, it's whether it's just basic stuff like staying home on defense and not giving up 18,000 open threes. Because, Fizdale, his whole defense was we're going to protect the paint and we're going to allow open threes. That's just stupid. So it's just, I like the temperament of this team right now.
Yeah, I do too. It just seems like a change in leadership really did them, very well. So, Yeah, I think from here, like, really, that's kind of been the big news of the week. Like, everyone's kind of playing well. It's last night was a big win. We were all kind of celebrating it, and now it's just kind of like looking ahead to what's coming up. I mean, they got the Heat on Friday, which is gonna be a tough game, followed by the Bucks on Saturday. So, I mean, this weekend's going to be tough for this team. How do you think they fare in either one of those games?
I don't know, because I thought they were going to get blown out by the Nuggets, but they came back.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the Heat, if they can carry this momentum on a little bit, like, there is certainly...
If they show up on defense, they could beat the Heat. Like, the Heat are very good, very good. Like, I'm not trying to undermine the Heat at all. But if they just play good defense and they continue to stay hot, I mean, they're also on a hot streak shooting, which is helping. So if they can just do that, play good on defense, they have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, that was really a big difference maker last night, too, just how well they were able to shoot the ball. I mean, you had the only guy who could hit anything for Atlanta was Trae Young and Vince Carter. But the Knicks, you had Marcus Morris. I mean, he's been shooting lights out on 3-pointers all year long. Did Breen say at one point he's like in the top 4 in 3-point shooting in the league?
I believe he's second. He was first, and then George Hill surpassed him. I believe he has to be in the top 4 because he's still shooting well. And that's another thing Miller's done. He's kept Morris as the focal point as well as Randle to an extent, but he's also made sure to like Randle's now at the top of the key. Morris is moving down a little more versus where he was before, just lingering by the 3-point line.
Yeah. So. It's really, and to get back to the schedule in just a second, but like, it's really been those little things that seem to be unlocking everybody's game. It's just changing the spacing up a little bit. Like, I mean, we had not seen Julius Randle play like he played last night all season long.
I mean, if you throw away the Blazers game, this is Julius Randle over his last 4 games: 21.8 points, 10.5 rebounds, 47% from the field, 36% from 3.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, totally. I mean, that's the guy everyone thought they were getting. Like, there's been everybody. I mean, pretty much everybody, it seems like, that I know who associates himself with the Knicks, like, is far out on Randle already. Like, looking for ways to move him, looking for ways to get rid of that contract. If he keeps on playing like this, I'm very happy with having a Julius Randle like that on my team. I think that's definitely worth the money. I think that, he just needs to show that he can keep this consistency going. And if it's really just a matter of spacing and scheme, like, then you at the very least know that you can adapt for that moving forward.
Yeah, and I think they should not play off RJ, but like RJ's career night was basically, he was playing off the ball most of it. Like, there were very few highlights where it was him going one-on-one with somebody, if any. I think there was maybe one shot that was an isolation. A lot of them were catch and shoots. He beat Cam Reddish on a nice backdoor cut.
Yeah.
It's just, that's where RJ has to play right now. Maybe down the road he becomes an ISO monster. I don't see it personally, but right now he has to play off the ball. And the thing with Fizdale said Randle was going to be a point forward, but in reality, Randle was just getting the ball and spinning, like continuously pressing the spin button, going to the rim. So
yeah, there are too many guys just that were trying to be molded into something they're not. I think Miller is just trying to let these guys be them. Anyway, but that was a little divergence from the schedule. Milwaukee the day after that, it didn't go great last time.
No, I don't. I mean, Milwaukee's just amazing. So if they stay in it, cool. If not, whatever.
Yeah. And then Wizards on Monday. Definitely Wizards have I think it played a little bit better than everyone expected, but
they score a lot. Like, it's going to be a very high scoring game.
Which could be, but that's, I think, where the Knicks should be thriving right now. I mean, we saw this game last night. I mean, that was when, I think they scored somewhere in the 140s earlier this season too, but like, for this team to score that many points is, pretty extraordinary given their lack of shooting.
Oh no, they haven't 140s. I think it was 39 years since they've gotten there.
Oh, since before last night?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, I thought they had one earlier in the season.
No, I think they were in the 120s, I believe. 140. Oh, okay. I was shocked too when they said it. They said 39 years, and then I think it was since 2011 that they scored 77 in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first time since 2011. So
yeah, But I mean, like, if they're playing fast, if they're getting a lot of shots off, if that game has a bunch of possessions, like, that should be where the Knicks are able to execute the best. Like,
100%.
Yeah, if they can keep moving, if these guys, the biggest problem they fall into is when they get stuck in the half court and then everyone's just kind of over dribbling and not knowing where they need to go. And then you see too many of the Julius Randle, fadeaways when he's got two defenders on him.
Yeah, and the big thing to look for is when that's not working, when it is working, rather, let it go. Like in the Nuggets game, Morris's ISO game was working, so you let that go.
Right.
But when it's not, start passing that ball around.
Right, and Morris is the kind of player who has that recognition of when he needs to do that. Like, that's one of his biggest assets, is just his basketball IQ. And along with his three-point shooting, it's what's making him such a valuable addition this year. But hopefully they can keep this three-point shooting going over the next couple of days and, not come back down to earth too far. I think that just the shooting, the pace, and the spacing, and just being able to keep up like kind of a more to come a defense out there, and I think they're looking good. They're at least going to stand a chance against the Heat, and they should be looking good against the Wizards.
Yeah, those are the two games I'm most intrigued by, because like I said, the Bucks are just leaps and bounds better than them, but the Heat are a good team that can be beat, and the Wizards are a team I think that's on the next level roster wise. As long as you defend the 3 in the Wizards game, I think it should be a winnable game for sure.
Yeah. Mike, do you have anything that you wanted to plug before we get out of here today?
Just check out our merch. I know Christmas is right around the corner. We still have, I believe, the 2 Christmas sweaters, St. Neilakina and Merry Mitchmas. Those are really good. I believe the Port Lanthonys are gone, so RIP. But also check out the knickswall.com. All the features coming out. I think we're just going to keep on plowing until Christmas. And as always, follow the podcast. And yeah.
Yep. Head to our Twitter too. Make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes and on YouTube. Everything good like that. Check out everything else that's going on over on Blue Wire. Got a lot of good podcasts on there. If you're a fan of another team in the NBA, NFL, I think we even have a couple of other sports hopping onto the network too recently. But keep up with everything going on there. There's probably something that you're going to enjoy. Other than us out there for you. And making sure I'm not missing anything, but I think we're good to go.
Oh, and shout out to our fans in Singapore. That was dope.
Yeah. We took a look at our Spotify Wrap today, and apparently our podcast reaches 31 countries, including Singapore. So shout out to all of you foreign listeners who are tuning in. We really, really genuinely appreciate that. I gotta check the stats again. I wonder how many Latvian listeners we still have.
Probably dropped off.
Yeah, for a long time there, Latvia was like our 3rd most listened to country.
We don't slander them enough though, so they might still stay.
They might still stick around. Yeah, maybe they're pissed at Kristaps too. We'll see. Anyway, that's going to do it for us over here this week. We will be back with hopefully some good news about this team in a week. Talk to you all then.